Well, hello, Call It Crew. We have another short and sweet. What do we have today?
Well, I'm going to read you what Stephanie, she's going to be joining us via Zoom today. This is what she wrote.
Love the Zooms.
Love a Zoom. Stephanie, who had 2 heart attacks as a child, just got engaged and is so happy. But her overprotective mom sent her a text while she was at the cardiologist's office, telling her to ask the doctor for permission and advice on what weight loss drug she can take so she can lose weight before her wedding. All of her insecure feelings about her body that went away are now back. How does she handle it? I have so many questions. We need to talk to her.
Yeah, I think we need to get curious first. I need to know a little bit more about what's happening.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hello, Stephanie.
Hi. Welcome to our Call It What It Is short and sweet episode. Okay, so we just read for our listeners the situation, and we have questions before we get into this. So first off, congratulations on being engaged. So
Thank
amazing.
You.
I want to know, was this in any way a conversation between you and your mom before you went to the doctor? Were you saying, I would like to lose weight, maybe I can look into, and she was sort of prompting it that way, or no, this came out of left field?
No, this was like all left field.
Mom.
And I want to preface it with like,
okay,
my mom and I have like we're very similar. And so she has the best intentions, I think. But she just, there's a line sometimes and she likes to cross it.
Mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you're assuming positive intent. I really do, because it's so important, right? With the people that we love. It's easy to get hurt, right? We're human. But I think the fact that you are assuming that she has your best interest at heart is great, right? Like, you guys really love each other. Yet that is still a stinger.
You know what's funny is when I hear situations like this, I always feel like this has absolutely nothing to do with you, and it's just projecting, right? And I'm wondering, I wonder if your mom has her own body insecurities that she's sort of dealing with, and then they've manifested in this sort of way where she's then crossed a line, and it's your wedding, and it's, because by the way, you're going to be beautiful on your wedding day, no matter what. Let's just say that. And if you are comfortable with your body, that's the most important thing. We need to clear that up. It's your body. It's your agency over your body. It's your choice.
Yeah.
But I always wonder if there's a little projecting going on in situations like this.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, definitely. There's some projecting there. So,
I mean, I'm guessing that, obviously this did happen. How did you handle it?
I kind of just ignored it. And actually I went home last night. We live about 30 minutes away from each other. And she asked again, but in person this time. And
no, Mom, do we need to add her to the Zoom?
Oh God, she wouldn't know how to do that, but
oh my God.
Okay. Well, okay. You brought up crossing a line. So I think the most obvious thing is the boundary cross, right? So you didn't go to her and say, hey, Mom, can I get your advice on something? She just unsolicitedly gave you advice. So I feel like my first, and again, as we've established, you assume the best from her, which is great. If you haven't gotten the wind knocked out of you, I think the first thing I'd say is like, ouch, right? Like, ouch. I didn't, that hurt. And I didn't ask. And if I don't ask, I'm not asking.
Yeah.
I don't need, I don't want your advice. I love you so much. Your opinion means so much to me. So when you say things like that, they really hurt me and they stay with me. And I know that you don't want to hurt me. So I kind of wish we could rewind that moment, but we can't. And going forward, I really don't want you to say things like that to me. And if I'm curious about something or if I want your opinion, I will ask.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely something.
I think that's the
Perfect.
conversation to have. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
other, what else can you say? Like, because I wonder if, because you ignored it the first time, the worry is that if you keep ignoring it, it may not have registered that this is something that's crossing a boundary and it will continue to get brought up, right?
Right. And I think for me, like, I thought maybe once we got the dress, like she would just be done with it.
Zip
But
it, yeah.
Zip it.
yeah, no, we got the dress last weekend and and she's still asking about it. So yeah, I
Yeah, you
definitely
need to
should.
shut it down. Shut it down.
Shut
You're
it
perfect.
down.
This is a celebration. Shut it down. Love you, Mom. Don't need to hear anymore.
Love you.
Yeah.
Don't love the comments.
Yeah.
No, because also,
Yeah.
like, by the way, I have to say, I read that you had 2 heart attacks when you were a child, right?
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
you're here, like you're getting married. This should be such an amazing moment after health issues when you were younger. And what matters is that you're here and healthy. That's
Right.
what really matters, you know?
Right.
And I think tell your mom that we've said this is a no-go. This is not happening.
Zip it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My work moms, I work with 4 other women, that 2 of them have children, 2 of them don't, and they are a little bit older than me. And so they have been like my work moms for the past 5 years, I guess. And I was telling them about it the other day, and they were like, no, that's not okay. Not not okay.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
Yeah. No. Well, I think that we have I feel like
We're
we've come
setting
to-
boundaries for the wedding.
Yeah,
for the
we're setting
wedding.
boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
And by
is
the way,
solution.
on some level, I actually have to say, I mean, I always come up from like the what can I be grateful for in this moment? A lot of moms and a lot of relationships, people, they're actually nonverbal. She came out and said it. So it's the very concrete example of her crossing a line. It's not like you wonder what she was saying, right? She said it. So I think that
Right.
it's actually great. You can go to her and be like, number 1, ouch. Number 2, no, thank you. That is not helpful for me. I do not. That's not for me. Save it for somebody else, or I don't know what to do. Take it somewhere else.
Yeah. I really need
Scream
to
it into the
just
sky.
Yes.
setting boundaries is a
Setting-
difficult
I believe
situation
in
with
you.
her.
You got this. You got this. You go
Yes.
straight into that conversation right now. Give her a little text. Hey, Mom,
Yeah.
can you talk for a second?
She would be like, is everything okay?
Yeah. Everything is okay. It's about to be okay.
It's about to
Yeah.
be okay. We got boundaries. Stephanie, thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
joining us. We
much.
hope you have an incredible wedding. You're gonna look gorgeous. And if you could send us a little picture of what you look like in
Yeah,
your
send
dress,
us a pic.
we want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. We
Awesome.
aren't getting married until next June. But we're getting married in Aruba, and so it'll be beautiful.
Oh, so
Aruba.
fancy.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Have so much fun.
Thank you. All
Thank you.
All right. Bye, Steph.
right, bye.
Sarah has a tricky situation with a friend of hers who became inseparable with a very toxic person. She respects her friend's choice in companions, but this person's behavior makes her very uncomfortable. Does she just accept this? How can she maintain this friendship without sacrificing her own comfort?
We need more information.
Sarah.
Yes. How are you?
Hi.
Hi,
How
Sarah.
are you?
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Not gonna lie, it's kind of odd for me to like email a podcast and just kind of a shot at the dark, and you guys responded. So yay.
I love it. It was meant to be.
Right.
Okay, so tell us more. Tell us more. We read the little description, but tell us more.
Recently, you guys were talking about friendships and how yours has bloomed and it's just evolved over the years, right? Just something you said recently, you have to be your number one fan. And in this friendship, I don't feel like I'm being that person for myself. The friend that I'm speaking about is pretty toxic, and it's hard to see that. You don't want to part ways with your one of your best friends, but I think that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Mm.
So you feel
Ugh.
like your friend is being toxic for you,
Yes.
or you are
Well,
okay.
okay. She has a friend that is toxic for her, but it's kind of a combination. Now that they're together, I feel like it's toxic for me as well,
Okay,
if
so
that makes
you feel
First
like
of all, I'm
she's being
sorry.
influenced by that friend.
correct.
Ooh, okay. And
Yeah,
it's a
it's kind
new
of tough.
friend. It's a
Yes.
new friend. And how long have you guys been friends for? Sorry, I have so many questions.
About 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
And all this new stuff is within like the last year. And she's had some pretty big changes in her life. She got married this year, um, and all that as well. She suffers from depression, and I suffer from anxiety. So that's kind of where we met in the middle. And she did start a pretty strong medication, and I feel like it really just it altered her personality too, if that makes sense.
Mm. Mm.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I did say on the pod that you need to be your own number one fan
right.
and advocate for
And what does that
yourself.
mean to you? Like when you heard us talk about that, like what set up like for you, what was like, I'm not sure if I am. Like what yeah.
I'm just letting it fester and ponder and bug me to my core, and that's not being my number one fan. You know?
You feel like you're subjecting yourself to a friendship that isn't good for
Yeah,
you, and therefore, how are you?
right. And I think
Yes.
I'm missing what it used to be. And I get people change, we change. And honestly, I've kind of disconnected myself from her a little bit already, and it's starting to feel good. It's just hard for me to look at the big picture of, okay, maybe we weren't meant to be this close of friends anymore. But I also care about her still, you know what I mean?
Have you tried having, or would you feel comfortable having a super, especially because you may be on the brink of like completely stepping back? I wonder if it's like, do you just go for it and have a really honest conversation at this point?
Right.
Because it's
Yeah.
in a way like win-win, like either the friendship
What do
ends
you have to
anyway,
lose?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
right? Or something can be salvaged.
Sure.
Salvaged?
Salvaged.
Salvaged?
You got
Yeah,
it.
that's it's
Yeah,
um
I think I just need to give it another conversation. I briefly have brought it up, and to her, both her and her husband, now husband, separately, and they both became really defensive. And I know I'm
Well,
not the
that's how
yeah,
we're programmed, right? Like we
right.
just and I think that also sometimes the language that we use intentionally or by accident sometimes can tip people off,
Sure.
right? That they should be defensive.
Right.
And I think that, it always does help when you start with what is true, which is just your feeling, right? And
Mhm.
someone doesn't have to actually do anything to make you feel a certain way.
Exactly.
We are responsible for our feelings, right?
Right.
And we know why we have them.
Mhm.
We were just talking about sometimes, people communicate non-verbally, right? Like
Right.
that look, or
Right,
they're
right.
just flat out say something shitty. And you're like,
Yep.
well, that was actually maybe a little easier because you just said something shitty.
Yeah.
But I think that bringing awareness to the feelings that you
Sure.
have and like having a conversation one-on-one, I personally feel that I always have to conjure up a lot of courage because
Right.
I tend to get like sweaty armpits and really nervous. I just don't
Just
want
like
to
I am
rock
right
the
now.
boat, or I don't want to feel, I don't want to get in a fight or whatever.
Right.
And I think that if you just, and sometimes it helps to write it down.
Yes,
or
I'm a
maybe,
big believer in
make a
that.
voice memo, however you process things the best, but to just like organize your thoughts and feelings,
Right.
more feelings. And then I think Camilla's completely on to a great approach, which is having, before saying, all right, this friendship is just not for us. We've grown apart. You have someone
Right.
toxic in your life and now we're done. Going to that person and saying, I adore you. This is what I love
Mhm.
so much about our friendship. And maybe that's one thing, maybe it's 10.
Right.
But write them down and make her feel loved and appreciated for
Okay.
genuinely what you love and appreciate her for. And then say, and lately, I've been having these feelings. Like this is
Mhm.
how this friendship has made me feel, or some things that have happened have made me feel. And I know that you love me, but this is still happening.
Sure.
And like, what are your thoughts or what are your feelings on it? And then I would say if the minute if it does go defensive, sadly, you kind of have your answer. Right. Because if she's not willing to take some responsibility or try to move towards understanding, then she might either maybe just say, take a break, right? Like maybe she'll come around, but maybe for right now.
I kind of hope so. It almost feels like a kind of like a midlife crisis. You know, she's done with now she's married and all the things she wanted to do, bought a house, all that stuff, and just kind of testing the waters and trying new things.
I think something that I found really hard, it was a really hard lesson to learn, but the friends that I had some friends in my 20s that were no longer friends of mine by the time I was like deep into my 30s. Sure. And it felt like a loss, right? Like it really felt like a breakup, and it was so hard and it was so painful. And now that I've had some distance on it, I realize that people do shift and change, and those friendships that you think are lifelong friends, those friends you think are lifelong friends, are sometimes they don't fit anymore in the way that they used to fit. And it's a really hard lesson. And I think it happens to so many people. I think there's probably so many people listening to you right now feeling this exact way. And
we do have a lot of different values. I have 3 children. She's doesn't have any kids yet. And I mean, nothing against that. I have plenty of friends without kids, and we just have different outlooks in life, you know.
But that's also something to remember, which is you have children.
Right.
Yeah. And I often think sometimes, even when I'm feeling like I need a little dose of courage, I think about what I would do if I was doing it for my child, right? Yeah. If I was advocating for my child, if I was my number one fan, how would I behave differently? And asking for that. And again, if you don't get what you need in this conversation, I'm a big fan of saying, thank you for your service. Thank you for some really great times. Thank you. Like I have wonderful memories of our friendship. I have incredible stories. I have so many times where I can remember you being on my side. Because again, part of that is, I think definitely, in my opinion, not worth your energy is wondering about what might be going on in her life. Because if there is depression and if there is medication, there's a whole lot that you can't know.
Right.
And I've so certainly it's another piece.
More energy into it than I should.
Yeah.
And I have to say, Camilla, I'm a Zoloft queen. I'm totally on Zoloft as well.
Zoloft queens.
And that's helped me tremendously. That's within the last year. Kind of not necessarily give me a new mindset, but like, hey.
Well, yeah, I know that feeling though. There is a shift.
Right.
I think that my therapist and I, just real quick, we talk about being able to stay in our resilient zone. This is what we talk about. So anything that kicks me out means that, like, it spikes my anxiety. And so I surround myself with people and I try to invest in doing things that help keep me in that resilient zone. And she kind of sounds like a friend right now that's continuing to kick you out of it. Yeah. And so this is where you can be your number one fan of, like, what serves me, right?
Sure.
And if she's a friend that's continuing to do that and you're putting mental energy towards that, when, by the way, you're 3 children, oh my God, how much mental energy goes into them.
Right.
You got to save some for yourself. Yes, you got to save some for yourself. Jessica's right. There's so much that you don't know. And and I think that, yes, you got to save some for yourself. Jessica's right. There's so much that you don't know. And and I think that keep yourself, while you're on your own mental health journey, keep yourself surrounded by people that don't continue to do that. And maybe your friendship will come back around, like a breakup can sometimes.
That's kind of what I hope happens, honestly.
Yes.
And like I said, I've kind of been distancing myself from her for a while now, which does feel good because I'm not surrounded by those toxic behaviors that
yes, and you're probably staying in this zone more because you're creating that boundary. But I think you have the conversation and then you go from there and make sure that you look after yourself in your own friendships too, right?
Well, you ladies are awesome. I appreciate it.
I feel good about this. I feel good about your next steps.
I do too. I'm only excited for you.
Sometimes you just need to hear it from a different perspective, and I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Amen. We got
Thank you for coming on here, because I know it's so hard, but I know so many people are going through something like this and will appreciate hearing your situation, and maybe it'll help them with theirs.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you ladies are great.
Thank you.
Good luck with your podcast. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep listening. We're excited to have you as our crew.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank
ladies.
you.
Bye.
No, I just want to say before we wrap up this short and sweet that what I love so much about our listeners, so much about the Call It crew, is they're willing to get on here with us and get so vulnerable in the 10 minutes that they have with us. And I think that really sums up and captures what feels so special about this podcast that we have with you all. Just had to say that.
Yeah.
I'll keep saying
it means
it.
a lot, because you learned so much more. But gosh, I used to think that I always had to be okay. And it was such a chore sometimes. Sometimes I was okay, but other times I wasn't okay. And I felt like I had to be. And I have learned that I really have only grown when I've sat in not being okay and let the people around me know that. And my only chance at getting any kind of help, by the way, was through that moment of just surrender. I'm like, I'm not okay. I don't know what to do.
100%.
Like, I'm taking suggestions. Put the suggestion box out because I need some help.
Oh my God, we love it. The suggestion box. Yes. Oh Lord, I need one out all the time.
I know. Well, like I said, I felt very good about the next steps for both Steph and Sarah. So
I think we need also at some point we need to catch up with those girls. All right. And let's call it.
Okay. I find it delightful. I find it delightful and such a treat to be here with you in the short and sweet.
That was so good.